I was paired against an 1800 woman from Iceland, a local, my first local in this tournament, and fun fact, I've played more women in this tournament after this round than men, which is the first time this happens in my life probably. So I go e4, my opponent goes with c6, and after d4, d5, this is the Caracon defense, I choose the advanced variation e5. And so I play a lot on record, I play a lot against d5 here, knight c3, so I play e5, bishop f5, and now I skew from the main line to put my opponent off guard, knight e2. My idea is that I want to go to g3 to play against this bishop, so after e6, let's say if you play h5 too early, I think knight g3, bishop back, and e6 things can be problematic. So after e6, my opponent goes back with their bishop, and now I go h4. Threatening h5, there are two ways to meet this, h6 and h5, and here my opponent plays my least favorite move, which is h5. I go bishop d3, I've tried to trade off this now less defended bishop, and after bishop takes, the main engine will say queen takes is the main move.
What's going on here?
English?
What's going on here?
Oh, I'm just filming a recap for a YouTube video.
You cannot do that in here.
Oh,
You don't have permission.
Oh, okay. Can I get permission anyway? I'm with the tournament.
You have to talk to the office if you want. You can do it in the front.
Okay.
But you cannot record in here.
I got kicked out. I don't remember where I was, but Bez put some fire thing in. Leave it all in. I got kicked out. Okay. Queen takes is not what I played. I played c takes because on queen takes there's bishop e7 and I have no way of defending this pawn. I didn't want to go into this. So on takes, if bishop e7, I can now take on h5 and defend my knight because my queen is on d1 still. So you understand, you get it. Okay, so I take with the c pawn, g6, a mistake. There is the Capablanca rule that states that if you have a dark squared bishop, put all your pawns on light squares if it's playing against a light squared bishop. But the problem is, I don't have a light squared bishop, so this doesn't hinder any bishop of mine, and g6 weakens this square and weakens this square on g5. I go knight d2, I transfer my knight to f3, queen b6, and now knight f3. My knight defends everything, and my knight's gonna maybe jump to g5 in the future, the newly bad square, weakened square. Bishop h6. I found this move very weird. Usually the bishop supports c5. This position is favorable for black, but bishop h6, I can just do nothing, and...
Hello, my friend.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good.
You see lava. You want to take
What?
a picture of lava?
No, I'm good. I'm good, thank you though.
Okay, just take it.
I was just asked if I wanted to take a picture of lava from a taxi driver. I can't make this up, this is Iceland. So let's say after I castle and then normal development, if you take my bishop now, queen takes, and I'm gonna just go here. And maybe I was thinking actually queen f4 for knight g5, leave that square open for the knight. So I get a lot of play on the king side. So my opponent doesn't take, and so now our bishops are just at a mutual stalemate, a mutual withdraw here. Knight d7, bishop e3. If you take, this is very favorable for me because I opened the f file on f7 and this gets really nice for white. King f8 was the plan. I think my opponent did not want knight e7, and so after takes, the rook is kind of misplaced, and I can gain a tempo on that, and then I can go like queen f4, and our plan can pursue itself, right? So king f8, I go queen a4, reading her plan of going to go to g7, and then I meet this with the positional queen a3. Yes, that's right. I went to a4 to go then to a3. I'm preventing her from going knight e7 because she wants to untangle her pieces. So when I saw king f8, I read that, and then I played this plan. Rook e8, trying obviously for knight e7. I go queen d6, attacking this knight. And there's so knight b8 is played. There's a tactic on both, like rook d8 and knight b8, so we'll just play the knight b8 version. Here I found a4, an interesting move. If you go rook d8, kicking my queen, now I actually win with a5, attacking this queen at once. The queen cannot defend the rook anymore, and after rook takes, a takes b6, threatening both the rook and the pawn. Rook here, and then I win a pawn with rook takes, a takes or rook takes, and it's over for white. But after a4, I only looked at my opponent's queen, rook d8. I only looked at that. Instead, my opponent has knight a6 now. And my queen is less comfortable. and rook d8 is better than ever. So here I take a long pause. My opponent already has 8 minutes on the clock after 16 moves. Used an hour and 22 minutes. I go with b4, a crazy move, and the engine agrees. Crazy, inaccurate, you're wild. On b4, I'm sacking a pawn two ways. If queen takes, I had rook fb1, and if queen takes, e takes d6, and this is weak, and now this square is uncovered for my knight, and I had stuff like this, like it was crazy. If knight takes, I have a5, and the queen can't defend the knight anymore, so has to play queen b5 to keep defending the knight that I'm attacking. And then I go rook fb1, and this knight is completely done for. But after b4, again, I embedded two responses by my opponent, better than last time at least, but still there's rook d8, a third response that I missed. And now my queen is pretty trapped. I have to go a5, and this endgame that it gives, my minority attack on the queen side is terrible, because this knight completely controls everything. I mean, I just have zero play on the queen side, the only side where I can break through. Usually you'd want a pawn on a4 and a pawn on b5 to hinder the structure and open up files, especially that her pieces are tangled up on the king side, and this would have been perfect to open up files. I would have even given a pawn for this. If I can rile up two rooks on an open file, it would have been better. So here I'm puzzled. It's kind of drawish and I'm scared, but I face that fear. I go knight e2. Knight e7, she untangles her pieces. She can do that now. Knight b3, I'm trying to go to c5 to attack b7. Pretty straightforward. a6, knight c5, rook b8. And we'll just play some moves here. I had g3 here, oh my god. Okay, so now we trade pieces. And after this, I just want to go to this move right now. After 28 moves, I am completely boggled, mind boggled, because it's a complete draw on the board. I mean, you can see it. Optically, it's a draw. The position's closed. There's no way to enter. And I'm drawing this person even though my opponent had less time on the clock for the past 9 moves. Drawing this game would mean a lot of rating loss. I have to fight. King g3, king f4, f3, g3. It's like some non-moves, but really, I was distracting a little bit on the king side to actually slide my king over, to then, after rook h8, I try something. b5. It's still a complete draw, but my opponent has to play the right moves. It's a positional breakthrough. If you take with the c pawn, I'm better with rook c7. So I had to wait for a rook h8, a move that doesn't defend with rook f7, which was where the rook was previously. A takes b5 was played, and then I go a6. Here, I'm overloading this b7 pawn, trying to win this c6 pawn. Rook takes, pawn takes, and now currently in this position, I'm down 2 pawns. I take one back, rook a8. My opponent has 2 passed pawns, outside passed pawns, even better. But I still had faith in my position. Why? Because I can take on e6, and then these 2 pawns are absolutely frozen. They can't move. Even if it was black's move right now. a4, rook takes, a3, rook b1, a2, and my rook is right on time. So I throw a check, my opponent goes back, and now I go king d2. I want to meet these pawns with a king. And now my opponent goes with a4, a surprising move. And here, I was a little bit frightened. If you do nothing, I'm gonna go king c2, king b3, and king a4, and then these pawns are completely stopped, and I'm probably gonna try to win this pawn here. So a4, ambitious, rook takes, rook b1, a2, and I'm on time. My opponent goes king e7. I go f4. Now we're past 40 moves, so we have extra time on our clocks, but our clocks haven't synced, and we're still at the pace of being down on the clock since for like the past 15 moves. So we're still playing very fast until rook a3, king c2, rook a4. And now I let my clock go down. I get that bonus time 30 minutes after 40 moves, and I take a long think. And here I find something interesting. A sacrifice which involves giving my opponent 3 pawns over 3 turns in exchange for 1 pawn and an active king. And I went for it. King b3. Rook takes d4. 3 pawns over 3 turns. Rook takes check. King b4, my king's active. Rook takes. Rook check. Very important you throw this check in first. The only non-drawing move. Check on the king. King e6. Check again. Only good move. king back. King c5, I bring my king in. The idea is that I want to bring my king and my pawn in. Reckon, my opponent has very sound counterplay with an h pawn flying down that file. So I have to be careful. h4, king d6, rook e3. h3 is also an option. Here I have e6 check, and I calculated that after this, and then check again, king here, and I saw e7, rook e3, check, king here. It doesn't matter, like I queen, or if king here, I have check, king here, and then I queen here, and I'm on time, like takes, h2, rook e1. My laptop is completely frozen, by the way. It's very cold outside right now. So that would win, right? So my opponent goes with rook e3, which I kind of missed. I saw it, but I was like, it's not a serious reply. It blocks my e6 square, and now I only have one possible way to go. Rook a7 check. King moves back. So now after king f8, I'm puzzled. I can't play rook h7 because here after h3, e6, king g8, attacking my rook, rook staying on this pawn, and now even d4 counterplay for black, my pawn is stopped, and I'm like puzzled, right? And not only that, e6 doesn't work anymore because now h3 is so important, it forces my rook down. Let's say I go check, the king can go to g7, and this doesn't come in time anymore because now h2, and my opponent will trade there and then make a queen on h1, and it's over. So here, I had to find the only move, and that is very hard to find. I was kind of panicking because I thought I blew this again. King e6, the only winning move in this position. The idea is that after you play h3, which was played, I have king f6, threatening checkmate in one move, forcing this king to move either side. King g8 was played, king e8, you'll see what happens anyways. King takes g6, threatening mate again, and the pawn cannot scale down the file anymore. King must move, king f6, threatening checkmate again. If the king goes to g8, I have g6, and the king is in a mating net all the ways around. King e8, and now I go for e6. This is why king e8 initially didn't work. e6 threatening checkmate. The only way out is to go king d8, e7 check, king moves back, rook takes is the better move, but it gives a rook. King moves back, check, check, and here my opponent resigned because after the king moves, I have a queen, we trade off, and my rook is in time to defend against both of these pawns. What a crazy game. This game was basically a dead draw, and I had to figure out something. There was no other option. I was ready to lose after playing b5. Thank you so much for watching, and peace out. Okay, let's get the fuck out of here.